Hi everyone, we're down here on the river. We've had a big salmon die off, but we are back to story time. We're reading True Friends Are Heaven Sent, so I'm going to lean you up in a beautiful place. And the chapters are getting a little longer. Me and Bozwood are in Alaska, and I'll start from there. Being here in Alaska guiding fishermen was a pretty good deal for both Bozwood and I. It was a chance for us to be well fed and have, I was going to say, a warm, dry place to lay our heads, but instead I'll just say a place to lay our heads and call home for a short while. The best thing of all is that we didn't have to spend any money on food or lodging while we were working here, as our food and lodging were part of our wages. So for the first time in our lives, we were able to save our money, putting our paycheck into the bank. We stashed all of our cash tips. Scooby and I had learned back at the marsh how to work for the best tips. Our tips were our bonus for extra hard work and our efforts. We always went to the extra mile to ensure that the clients that we were responsible for guiding had a positive and safe experience. We also went out of our way to educate the sportsmen on the care of Alaska's natural resources. Our extra efforts, we hoped, added to the clients' lifelong memories of a wonderful Alaskan experience, which led to good tips. Clients were sometimes funny with how they tipped. Some of them truly appreciated our hard work and friendliness. They hand you a generous tip very nonchalantly and quietly. Others hand it to you loud and boisterous so that they gain the attention from their buddies and other clients. Their way of giving you a prestigious thank you. I still don't understand tipping, likely because it's as individuals as each person is. One thing I've learned throughout my life is if you don't expect a tip as a bonus for your hard work and performance, then you are never disappointed. Just because someone doesn't express their gratitude with a few extra dollars doesn't mean that they aren't appreciative. Sometimes the encounter leads to a lifelong friendship that becomes worth more than any amount of money. New friends enrich our lives through the companionship and the knowledge that we gain from them. A friendship can lead to learning about other cultures and places in the world, places that we may never see or experience ourselves, and that's a grand tip. Boz and I are good listeners and always reflect on how big this old world really is. Boz and I had a long day. We'd had some wonderful fishing for king salmon that were feeding in fairly shallow water. Everyone had been totally enchanted by the Alaskan experience that day. The powerful ocean had been quiet. The northern sunshine had been bright and warm, our faces and bodies soaking up the warmth. Several killer whales were hunting the seals that had crowded onto the small barren rock islands around us. The seals had bellies full of the plentiful herring that they had hunted. The humpbacks were putting on their own 4th of July displays. The sunlight's brilliant flashes of color reflecting through their sprays was just as beautiful as fireworks against a dark sky. These whales beat any fireworks show. The whales were slow and purposeful in their movements, the sunlight gleaming off them, and their spray was spectacular. The majesty of such a spectacular creature, the majesty of the ocean waves, of bluegrass, of blues and greens, whites and crystal clear, made a huge kaleidoscope of color around us. We all felt so small and were in total awe there in the midst of it all. It was scary and fascinating at the same time, a surreal experience that not many people have the opportunity to experience. We headed back to camp. Boz and I were relaxing a ways away from where the clients were, but we were listening to all the clients talk about and marvel at their day. Back here in camp, the beauty and tranquility of Alaska continued to surround us. A few of the clients brought out their fancy bottles of special scotch, bottles that had traveled further to get to Alaska than they themselves had. The bottles were popped open, sniffed, and discussed. When they asked for ice, "Sorry guys, no ice in camp. Maybe we could place the bottles in the cold ocean water and chill them a bit." One of the guides responded words of complaint or heard about not having their cocktails chilled to perfection in this perfect place. Several of them spoke up, saying that they would give about anything for some ice. A chilled glass of scotch before dinner and a few after dinner would be a wonderful ending of a wonderful day. But no ice, geez. Well, about that time, Boz nudged me. He wasn't going to speak up, so it was up to me. As I walked over to where the clients were sitting, they all thanked me for a wonderful day. I responded with my thanks, that it was my pleasure to fish with them. We talked about how we were all looking forward to another great day when I interjected that I knew where there was ice. I explained that the ice was a ways away, but not too far. It was glacier ice that was crystal clear yet had a bluish green color to it, perfect for their scotches. Joanne and Clint were chuckling. They were as good as Boz and I about working for the tips. All the tips were put together, then we'd all sit down at the end of the week and split up the tips like sharing a fresh oven hot pie. It was a time of honesty among all of us guides, but no one had a problem with being honest. We all did our part, working our butts off each and every day. The clients all agreed that they'd tip us handsomely if we went and got them some ice. Hey Boz, what do you think? When Boz heard that there would be a handsome tip involved, he headed straight for the boat. Boz didn't care at all about drinking alcohol, nor did he care about cocktail hour, but he sure cared about the extra tip money. He was just like his mom, Scooby. He knew that getting the ice would be easy tip money, or maybe it was the boat ride. I started thinking about Scooby again. I sure missed her. Scooby was good at getting tip money. I'm looking forward to seeing Scooby again, being back on the marsh. I bet her thoughts are here with Boz and I, just as much as our thoughts are there with her. We always felt that home would always be home. Our time here was temporary, no matter what life brought or how much time and distance we were apart. We longed to be back on the marsh with Scooby. And this is a little pun. It's called taking advantage of a chance. Sometimes in the game of life, when someone gives you a chance to do something good and be happy, feeling comfortable about yourself, kind of like finding your niche in life, you should rise up and give of yourself, then grasp it and make it work for you and your happiness. Back to the story. 2 of the clients wanted to go along to get the ice, which was cool. It would be another adventure that would provide some time to get to know them better. I grabbed a small cooler and rinsed it out, snagging a makeshift ice pick, a Phillips screwdriver, of course. Then off we went to harvest some fresh ice. We were camped on a small arm of Alaska's Inside Passage. The water was calm and glassy, topped unlike out in the open ocean. At this time, the tide was at a standstill right in between the tide shift, a time when the ocean seems calm before it can change dramatically. It was kind of an eerie feeling, so peaceful and calm, like a calm before a storm. There was tension, like when the suspense in a scary movie has you crouched low in your seat, knowingly yet not knowing what is going to happen in the next few minutes. We didn't know whether the tide would turn for the better or worse. This is another little pun. It's called painting a picture. Sometimes before the picture can be painted on a clear virgin slate, an experience has to be lived, then pouring its colors onto its meant-to-be slate to make it all take eternal life, living forever plus ever in mind, also substance. We motored along very close to the shoreline, mostly so that we didn't miss our small glacier river inlet that would give us passage into where the ice was located. The water was calm. Then we arrived and turned the outboard motor off. It was quiet except for our soft voices and the gurgling of the icy cold water that was melting off the huge glacier heading into the ocean. We started our hike and were pleasantly surprised to see a small run of wild steelhead that had infested every bed in the river. A bed is a place where the conditions are perfect for the females to be able to fan a small gravel, making a bed to lay their eggs where they would hopefully stay until a male comes in to release their sperm and fertilize the eggs. The steelhead were spawning, trying to keep their strain of future sea-run rainbow trout alive and thriving for generations to come. We had so much respect for these small runs that we never fished for them. We would simply enjoy watching the fish with their beautiful spawn-enhanced colors. The rainbow along their side had unbelievable brightness and clarity. For me, wild steelhead are number 1 on my list for catching on a fly rod, especially a light rod with a topwater fly. Watching them come up to the surface and suck the fly into their mouth, grabbing it with no intent of letting it go, leads to a world-class fly fisherman's dream. No other fish gives the aerial show that a steelhead does. It's like having a hold on the end of a rope tied to a rodeo bull's tail. If a wild steelhead isn't jumping, trying their hardest to throw the hook, then he is diving and pulling with all of his might. They're pretty much pound for pound the kings of freshwater. Their fight at the end of your line above any other species. For Boz and I, the steelhead is so much more fun to hook than a big bruiser Chinook salmon. The Chinook grow bigger than the steelhead, but as I said, pound for pound, along with the steelhead's determination to complete their run, they are by far the most voracious fighters. Their magnificent acrobatic air show when they jump, combined with their unbelievable colors, is more magnificent than the light passing through Mr. Sun's rays during a heavy rainstorm. The brilliance of that rainbow pales in comparison to the beauty of the fish. Whoever named them a rainbow trout had put the perfect name on them. So we'll continue this soon. And True Friends Are Heaven Sent. It's on Amazon.com, and we'll tell you about me and Boz working the tips to get some glacier ice for our guests' cocktails on the next reading. Anyway, you all have a super day, and we're not going to do much fishing today. There's so much devastation down here. I think we're just going to leave the fish alone. Anyway, send you a great big huge smile from me down here on the river, reading you Story Time of True Friends Are Heaven Sent. You all have a super blessed day, and we'll see you soon. Okay, bye.